Hello everybody, my name is Casey. I'm actually starting this YouTube as a diary for myself. I don't know if you've ever done your makeup and then you forget what you used and you're like, oh, I love that look that I did. I just can't remember what products. So I'm doing this mostly for myself so I can go back and I can see what I used, what I liked, what I didn't like. And if any of my family or friends want to watch as well, get some tips and tricks and just spend some time with me, that's great as well. This is my first time doing this. I am not very tech savvy. I'm doing this on my phone. So I will not be editing. If I learn how to edit, I will do that afterwards, but all these videos will be pretty long. They're going to take about the length that I would to do my regular makeup, but maybe just a little bit longer since I'm going to be talking while I do it at the same time. I do have a cute little doggy, and you can see the calendar in the back. He's kind of sleeping on a little futon on the side of me, so you might see him pop up once in a while as well. His name is Ramsey. Right now, Charlie, he's my pit mix. He's outside, he's sunbathing. That's what he does. But I do have a fundraiser to go to today, and I'm going to be Snow White, so I figured might as well start this now. So the first thing you always need to do before you do any makeup is you want to start with skincare. I'm not going to go into that too deep today. I can do a separate video on different skincare, like morning, night, before your makeup. There's different kinds. But for now, just make sure that you try to moisturize a little bit. I like to use a toner, not like an astringent like we used to use years ago, the one that burns. This is a toner that actually feels like water. It's very liquidy, and you just pat it on your face and it feels very refreshing. It helps to moisturize. And then during the day, I always like to use a vitamin C serum. So I let that sit in my face for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then once that dries, you always want to use an SPF with at least 30. Try to do 30 to 50 with your SPF. My SPF also serves as a primer for me. I feel that once I use that SPF, I don't really need a primer, but everyone's different. It makes your skin feel a little sticky after, and so that kind of works. I'm a combination skin. If you don't know what that means, my T-zone, which is in the center, so my forehead, the sides of my nose, and a little bit on my chin, that seems to be what gets really oily. And then on my cheeks, the sides, I don't really get too oily. So I would call that combination. So I don't really need to use a primer. I'm okay with not using one. But if you prefer one, that's fine as well. So after you do your skincare, you want to make sure you let your SPF dry for 15 to 20 minutes. You want to make sure that gets absorbed into your skin before you do any makeup. That's very important. So what I do is I fold some laundry. I just go find something to do for 15 to 20 minutes. Make a coffee if it's in the morning, just little things like that. It goes by really quick. So I use different tools when I do my makeup. So for foundation, I like to, depending on the foundation, I start with a brush and then I go over it with a sponge, okay? And again, I'll go over some of these things in other videos more in depth. But we don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so we're not going to do that today. So I'm going to use, let's see, I don't really like to use anything that's too, how do I explain this? I don't like to feel makeup on my face. So I don't like to use anything that's too full coverage. If you have any recommendations of a full coverage foundation that you can't feel or see that much, I will take your recommendations, but I'm pretty happy with just using what I have at the moment. So I have two shades. I don't know if you could see the difference. One's just slightly darker than the other. This is the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint. I really like this because it gives me the coverage I need, but you don't feel it on your face. And it has some skincare in it as well. Not too much. A little bit of vitamin C, but I don't really count on that vitamin C. That's really not enough. So I use my vitamin C beforehand. So since I'm going to be Snow White, I'm going to use the lighter one today. Let's see. The number on that one is 120. Okay. And then when I have a little bit of a tan, I use 129. I know it looks backwards. That's why I'm reading it. So 129 is what I use when I'm a little bit darker. And then when I'm in between, I mix them together. Don't ever be afraid to mix your foundations together, even if they're different foundations, to get the color that you want. So we're going to use, like I said, the lighter one today, which is going to be the 120. So normally when you buy it, it comes with, let me show you, it comes with this dropper, and I'm really not a fan. It's very, very messy. As you can see, I just opened it and it's already getting messy. But I love it so much that what I did was I had a pump from another product, and it just so happened to fit perfectly on here. But you can also order these pumps on Amazon really cheap too if you need some. So I'm just going to keep reusing this one. So, but it's on the darker color right now. Actually, no, it's not. Hold on. No, it's on the lighter color, so that worked out great. So I'm going to take the cover off. And remember, less is more. You can always add more. It's harder to take away. So I'm going to start with one pump, maybe 1.5, so about that much. Okay. Put that down. We can always add more. And then I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to start dotting this on the areas of my face where I need the most coverage. That. Again, there's no right or wrong. There's theories, but you can do it however you want and whatever works for you. So this is not so much a tutorial. You can take it as that if you like, but this is just showing you how I like to do my makeup. Okay, so I've done that. I do have a little bit left on my hand. So what I'm going to do with that is I always do my neck. As you can see, my neck is a little bit red. And as we get older too, we get little dark spots. So I like to take whatever I have left and I'm going to put that on my neck as well. Okay, like that. My neck, my chest, sorry. And you're going to put some on your neck, but you don't have to put dots. Then I'm going to take my brush. Okay, this one is the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection, number 7. So I'm going to take the bigger side, and whatever's left on my hand, I'm just going to do this. We don't want to waste anything, okay? And then I'm going to start doing this. So I'm not rubbing it around. I'm kind of pouncing it on my face, similar to what you do with a beauty blender, like that. And you want to be quick. This one doesn't dry too fast, but you don't need to take your time. So you can rub a little bit, but you mostly want to push your makeup into your skin. You want to get it in there. So once I spread it everywhere, I want to go back. I'm kind of just doing like this pouncing motion on my face to make sure that I'm getting the makeup into the skin like this. And you want to make sure you get it everywhere. And then whatever I have left, I start going down on my neck, because you don't want to have a mask. You want to get that down there. And then, I don't care if I get it on this shirt. I'm just going to, again, do the same thing on my chest. You want it to look natural, though. You don't want to put so much foundation on your chest where you can see it. So this is just kind of help to blend it in a little bit. That way your face and your chest and your neck is the same color. And that helps to cover a little bit on the chest as well. It looks a lot nicer. So again, once I get it all spread out, I'm going to go back and I'm going to pounce. And just get that everywhere. This is the part that takes the longest in my opinion. And I have some stuff on my lips. I'll go over that in a second. But I'm just going to do this so I don't get it all over the brush. You want to make sure you get it on the sides of your nose too. Get it really in there. Okay. Perfect. Now I'm actually looking in the phone doing my makeup. This is a little different. So I'm just going to kind of look to the side a little bit so I can look in my mirror just to make sure it looks okay. It looks good to me. Okay. So now I'm all set with that brush for now. So now what I like to do is I like to take my sponge, and if you've never used one of these before, it's very important you need to wet it first, okay? So you're gonna wash it. You can use like kids shampoo, baby shampoo, something gentle. You're gonna wash it, and then you're gonna let it fill up with water a couple times. You're gonna squeeze it out. And then I just like to take a clean towel and kind of squeeze the rest of the water out so it's just a little bit damp. You don't want this dripping or too wet, okay? So now that we have that, I like to take, let me see where it is. I like to take some setting spray. And the one I have right now is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This one's a little expensive. You don't need to use this one. The Milani one works really well. So when I run out of this, I'll probably be buying the Milani one again. So I take this and I spray a little bit on my sponge. Okay. And then I kind of just press over the foundation. So what this is going to do is it's going to remove any excess foundation so it looks a little bit more natural, and at the same time it makes your makeup look better and it lasts a little bit longer too. So I get that everywhere. Here we go. I'm going to do the same thing on my chest. I'm just pressing it down. That way, again, if I put too much makeup on, it's going to kind of remove some of it. And then by adding the setting spray, it makes it last a little bit longer. It just makes everything look nicer. So again, let me look in my mirror. Looks great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some concealer. Alright, so the concealer that I use is from Maybelline. It's called the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser Multi-Use Concealer. This is in the number 115. Okay, so take the cap off, and it has a little sponge. You can do this several ways. You can put it on your hand first. You can go straight on your eyes. It's up to you. If you want to be a little bit more hygienic, you can put it on the back of your hand first, but I'm the only one that really uses this, so I don't really care. So you kind of just have to spin it, and then if any product comes out, you're good. If not, then you can just spin it a little bit more. So I just like to put a little bit right there. Okay, I don't add a lot. And then a little bit right here, but you want to make sure it goes up. I don't really use a lot of concealer. So a little bit like that. Okay. And then I'm going to let that sit there because you want the skin to kind of warm that up a little bit. So let's go over what I used on my lips before I started my makeup. So you want to moisturize your lips while your makeup is getting done. That way by the time you get to the lipstick part, your lips are nice and moisturized. They're ready to go. You can use chapstick. You can use anything you want. I just happen to like this. Okay. This is the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip Plump. And this is in the color Primrose. So you can see what it looks like. You can wear this by itself, which I do sometimes, but I like to use this as a prep for when I do my makeup. So it's helping to plump my lips slightly. It's not like a plump where it burns. It's nothing like that. It just feels a little bit minty. So this doesn't hurt at all. So if you're afraid of that, I would recommend something like this. And I can show you what it looks like. It is very, very soft, so you don't want to turn this up too much because it'll break. And it'll just get very like gooey, gloppy, I don't know what word to use, on your lips, and it'll just make a mess. So you only want to use a very small amount. So when you turn this, just turn it up just a tiny bit because it's a little messy. That's the one thing I don't like about it. But other than that, it's a great product. All right, so we're going to go back to the concealer. So I'm going to go back to my brush. Some people, sponge, sorry. Some people use brushes. I just use my sponge because I don't add a lot of it. So I like to wet it again. So I'm going to take whatever setting spray I have, and I'm going to use it on there. Okay, and then I'm just going to do this. You don't want to go too close to the eye. I mean, the bottom of your lower lash line, because if you do, that's where it's going to crease. You don't really need to go that close because you're going to add a little eyeshadow on the lower lash line anyway. So you don't want to go right up to there with your concealer. So I'm just patting it down like this. and then I'm going up. This helps to give the illusion of your eyes a little bit more lifted on the outside. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Again, I'm just pouncing it. If you get a little bit on your side of your nose, that's actually a good thing. You don't have to be careful about that. Okay, make sure you look up if it makes you feel more comfortable. Okay, perfect. And then whatever's left, I kind of just press it on my eyelid. I don't really like to have too much concealer or product on my eyelid. My eyes are very, very sensitive, so I try to be very careful with it, whatever I put on my eyes. Okay, perfect. So if you do want to use something on your eyelid to help, let's see where I have that. There are things that are made for your eyes, eyeshadow primers. This one is from Milani. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. So we can try to use this one today. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit, put it on the top of my hand. You literally need that much. Okay. I'm just going to put it on the center of my eye. Don't press too hard. Just going to pat it down. Go up here with whatever's left. Okay. Then I'm going to put the rest on the other eyelid. Again, you don't want too much. You want a very, very small amount, and then go all the way up. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And then again, I just like to go over that with my sponge again, just to remove any excess and even everything out. Perfect. Like I said, I have super sensitive eyes, so I just like to be careful. Perfect. Okay. And I have the longest bottom eyelashes, which drive me absolutely crazy. All right, so now that we have our foundation or skin tint, whatever you want to call it, we are ready to go to our next step. Everyone does this different. Sometimes I do it different. I kind of just do whatever I feel. So the next thing I'm going to do is, normally the next step would be powder, but I think I want to use a little bit of cream blush first. So I'm going to do the cream blush and then we can do powder. So I have different ones, but I really like the ones from e.l.f. They're the Luminous Putty Blush, and let's see what color. Since we're doing Snow White today, I think we're going to go with this brighter one. Okay, I'll open it up so you can see what it looks like. Okay, it's a beautiful color. Gorgeous. The name of this color, I hope I can see it because they make everything so small. This is called St. Bart's. It looks like they're all named after islands. Like my favorite one, I'm not going to use it today, is called Bermuda, which is one of my favorite places to go. So it comes in a little pot like this, and you don't need to have this specific brush, but e.l.f. actually made a brush that goes with this. It's called the e.l.f. Putty Brush. And the reason I like it is because the little hairs, they're uneven. So you don't get too much product. You get just enough product. So I'm going to dip in just a little bit like this. Okay. And then anytime I use any kind of blush, I always want to put the excess in my hand first, because it's really hard to remove a lot of blush. It just takes a lot of time. So what I do instead is I just tap a little bit on the top of my hand, because again, you could always go back and add more. And I like to start right here, okay? I don't like to go too low with my blush. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap all the way up to my temple. But I'm starting right here. I don't want to go down here because it's going to make my face look droopy. We don't want that. So you want to keep the blush nice and high, okay? So starting right there. And I'm going to go all the way up to my temple, okay? And then I'm going to get a little bit more. Again, I'm going to tap the excess on the top of my hand. You can kind of see that. And I'm going to start over here again. And I'm going to go up to my temple with it. Okay. I'm going to wear a wig today, so even if I go too high with this blush, no one's going to see it anyway. Okay, so we're going to do that. Just going to kind of even it out now. Very pretty. I like that a lot. Again, I'm going to look in my mirror because looking in the phone is not the same. Okay, perfect. So I want that there. So again, this is the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush in the color Saint Bart. Also, what I like to do, once I do my cream or liquid blush, I don't really like liquid too much, I prefer the cream. Again, I take my beauty blender or sponge, I've done nothing to it, I'm not adding anything to it this time, and I'm just going to kind of very gently press over it. Kind of pushes it into the skin so it looks more natural. And again, if there's any excess, it'll remove that as well. All right, perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do now is, now that I'm done with all the cream and liquid products, you want to do that first. So creams and liquids first, and then you can do your powders. So I'm going to take a sip of water. My princess cup, isn't she adorable? Now I'm going to go to some powder. So for today, we're going to use the Maybelline Fit Me powder. It's the matte and poreless. So this is just the color 100. It is translucent. It doesn't look white like most translucent powders. I don't know if you can see. It kind of looks white on camera, but it's really not. It's this really pale color, but it doesn't look that way when you use it. So what I like to do is I like to use one of these little triangles. Okay, you can buy these on Amazon. Same thing with that sponge that I use. I think they're called Pawpaws. I'll see if I can find it and I'll show you. They're great. You get a whole bag of them. So I take my little sponge and I dip it into the powder, pressing down. Okay. And then I'm going to press that into the palm of my hand. What this does is it makes sure that powder is really on that sponge. It really gets it in there. And I like to start on my forehead, so I'm not swiping, I'm just pressing. So I'm pressing that powder, starting in the middle where I'm the oiliest, right there. You don't really need to add powder where you're not oily. You can if you want to, but if you're not oily in certain areas, you don't need to put powder there. So I'm grabbing a little bit more powder, I'm pressing it into the palm of my hand. I'm gonna go on the sides of my nose, because this is where I get really, really oily. I'll make sure I really press that in there. And then the chin. My chin isn't as oily as it used to be, so that helps. And then I put some like on my upper lip, so I'm gonna go like this. Okay, and I really make sure I get these creases right here. Make sure I get that powder in there. But again, you don't want a lot of powder. Okay, so you can see my pores. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to get just a little bit on the tip of my sponge. Again, I'm going to press that into the palm of my hand, and then I'm going to go under my eyes with that. Make sure before you add the powder that you're checking to make sure that the concealer didn't move around and hasn't creased, because you definitely don't want to set something that's already creased. So I don't like a lot of powder under my eyes because then it actually makes you look older. So you just want to add a little bit of powder and just press it like this. Okay, perfect. Another thing I like to do is I like to powder my eyelids. I'm not going to add any powder to the sponge. I'm just going to use whatever's on there. So I'm just going to kind of go over it like this. That'll help set that primer that I added to my eyelids. You can add more powder if you want. But again, I have very sensitive eyes, so the less product, the better for me. And then I'm also going to just kind of put some on my eyebrows too. That'll help some staying power for that. Okay, perfect. So again, that was the Fit Me powder in translucent. Oh, and I almost forgot, if you do add the makeup to your chest, like I did, make sure you also add a little bit of powder to that as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of powder to the chest where I added that makeup, pressing that down. And then you can do your neck too if you'd like. There really isn't a lot on the neck, but might as well, right? Okay, perfect. So we're going to put that away. So the next thing that I like to do is I like to do my eyeshadow. I know a lot of people like to do their eyebrows first, which I guess is the right way, but again, everyone does it in the order that is more comfortable for them. So I don't really use a lot of eyeshadow these days. I like to keep it pretty natural. Really not into eyeshadow, so we're going to keep it very simple. So I'll show you some of the options. And again, I'm doing Snow White today, so she's not really known for wearing a lot of eye makeup, so we want to keep it very natural. So the one I've been using that I really like is from Natasha Denona. They're a little bit more expensive, but I've always wanted to have some eyeshadow from her. So I started with one of these little minis because it's a little bit cheaper. And again, I don't use a lot of eyeshadow, and these are perfect. This is what I need for colors. So this one comes with 3 matte colors, and it comes with 2 shimmers. So I can open it up and show you. Very pretty. Okay. And this is called... Let's see if there's a name. I don't see a name. My Mini Dream Palette. She has a couple of these. There's one that's like all matte. So this is the one that has the mattes and the shimmers combined. She has different ones. So that's that one. This one has like those little splat things. The other one I don't think has that on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let me see, I have to move my stuff around, so don't mind me. So I'm going to take a fluffy brush. Okay, so it kind of looks like this. Okay. And I'm going to put it in the lightest color. So I'm going to dip it into this lightest color first. Okay. I like to tap most of that off. And again, I probably don't do eyeshadow the right way, but this is just how I do it, and it works just fine. I don't have patience to sit here and blend eyeshadow for 20 minutes. So I don't know if you know too much about hooded eyes, but I have what we call hooded eyes. And the reason for that is if I do this, you can see how that skin is covering part of my eyelid. See that? So we want our eyes to appear a little bit bigger, and we want it to appear lifted, okay? My eyes have always been like this, but as we get older, your eyes can become hooded as well, just from aging. So yeah, I can't wait. So I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is about my skin tone or a tiny bit darker, and I'm just going to start at that crease, and I'm going to bring that almost all the way up to my eyebrow. Okay, again, I'm just doing this really quick. Okay, I don't even know if you could see the difference between the 2 eyes, but it actually looks a lot better. And then whatever I have left, I'm not adding anything. I'm just going to kind of swipe it a couple of times on my lower lash line, like that. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye. I'm taking that lightest color. I'm going to start in my crease. And then I'm going to bring whatever's up almost to the top of my eyebrows there. Okay. And then I'm going to just do that. I didn't add anything. Don't poke your eyes. Okay. And then I kind of want to make sure the eyeshadow is going up at an angle. You don't want your eyeshadow to get below this area. You want to keep your eyeshadow above right here, okay? If you do get a lot of eyeshadow or fallout, you can always clean it after. All right, so now that I've used that light color, let's see the best way to show you. So I just used this color right here. Now I'm going to use this color that's a slightly darker at the end. And I'm going to tap that. Okay. And for that one, I'm actually going to tap some of it right here on my outer eyelid. Again, I'm going to close because if I don't close, it's not going to be even. So I like to kind of just stamp that right there. Okay. I don't know if you could see that. Okay. And then whatever I have left, I'm going to go above the crease, but I'm not going to go as high as I did with the other color. Okay. And you're not pressing hard. If you press too hard, you're just going to blend away your eyeshadow. Just a very light. You want to keep, I don't know if you noticed, but when you're holding your brushes, you don't want to hold them up here, okay? Because then you're going to press too hard. When you hold your makeup brushes, you want to hold them more towards the end of the brush. So that way you don't press too hard, okay? And then, whatever's left, I'm not adding anything. I'm going to kind of go underneath again and bring it up at an angle like this, okay? It makes a little difference. Then I'm just going to go back and kind of blend this out. Perfect. Do the same thing. I'm going to take that same color, tap some of it off. I'm going to stamp it on the outside of my eyelid. Just like that. Perfect. And then I'm going to go on the crease, but again, not as high as we did with that first color. I'm not pressing too hard. And if you feel like you're pressing too hard, make sure you move your fingers down on that brush. That. And then I'm going to go underneath my lower lash line. And make sure you always bring that eyeshadow up. And then I'm going to go back and blend this out a little bit more. No one's really going to see that because it's such a light color. But, okay. Then what I'm going to do, and you don't have to do this, you can kind of leave it at that if you want, but I always like to add a little bit of shimmer. So you can use whatever shimmers you have in here, or you can use something else. I really enjoy, again, since I'm being a princess today, I really enjoy the ColourPop shadows. Super Shock. Okay. This is the color Frog. I would say that this is like a champagne color, very similar. So I'm just going to take a little bit. I'm going to use my ring finger. Little tiny bit like this. I'm going to put it in the center, what they call the mobile lid, which is where your eyeball is. So you very gently with your ring finger, I'm going to put that right in the center. You don't want to go above your crease with this glitter. And I'm just going to press it right in the center, just like that. Okay? See how pretty that looks? Okay? Do the same thing on the other side. So with my ring finger, put some on that. Ooh, you can see it actually a little bit more on this side. The angle. Don't go too high with the glitter, because if you go too high with glitter when you have hooded eyes, it's actually gonna make that hood, that skin that droops down, more pronounced. You're gonna notice that hood even more. Okay, perfect. So that was the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow Ultra Glitter in Frog. Ooh, that's what that looks like. Now what I like to do, that same brush, I didn't add any more eyeshadow. I'm going to angle it up like this, and I'm kind of just going to blend it. So we don't have a line from that glitter. Again, with very light pressure, I'm just going back with nothing added to that original brush. I'm just going back and forth just to blend that together like that. And that's pretty much all I do for eyeshadow. I might do another step later when I add my blush, but that's about it. Okay, perfect. Whew, a lot of talking is making me thirsty. So now that we have the eyeshadow done, what I like to do next is something called, why can't I think of the word right now? Tight lining. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. So it's called tight lining. And what tight lining does is it helps to make your eyelashes look thicker, okay? So this kind of might look a little gross, I apologize. So what I like to do is I kind of just lift up my eye gently, and I like to use a dark brown so it's not as harsh, it looks more natural. So a waterproof eyeliner and a dark brown, and then kind of very gently go along your lash line. Your eyes might water when you do this. If it does and you don't like it, you can skip this step. My eyes don't really care for it either. I'm just staying as close to the lashes as possible, and it'll just make the lashes look a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna lift this up very gently, and I'm just gonna go near that lash line like that. Ooh, yeah, it's not a great feeling. So again, if it bothers you, you can skip that step. But for that, what I used was the Maybelline Infallible Pro Last Longwear Eye Pencil in the color brown. That's what it looks like. Okay. It works really great. I really like that a lot. Another thing you could do is you could take some dark brown eyeshadow, and you could go along your lash line with it, and you can make a little wing. Sometimes I find that a little bit messy, and I just find this easier. I kind of stopped doing my upper lash line just because my eyes are so small, and sometimes it just makes my eyes look smaller if I do a line, because it has to be super thin. So if you can't do a super thin line when you have hooded eyes, sometimes you're better off not even doing it. So I just use a dark brown again because it's a little bit more natural than the black. This is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio ink pen. So that's what that looks like. And let's see if this has a color. This is also called brown. 882 or 802. It's just a dark brown. So I like to shake it up just a little bit. You don't want to shake it too much because it'll leak. So it looks like that. And then you never want to pull your skin too much. So, oh my god, this is fun to do on a phone. I'm just going to make the smallest little wing right here. You always want to angle it up, okay? See that? Okay. And then I'm going to kind of go back and make it into like a really thin triangle shape, just like that. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. Again, much easier if you're doing this in a mirror and not in your phone. So I apologize. This doesn't come out perfect. Okay. I'm going to go back and make it into like a little triangle. Perfect. Okay. Very simple. And then once you have your mascara on, you will hardly even see that, but it does make a difference. And that's why I like to use the brown, because again, it's not harsh. It'll blend in. It looks a lot more natural. I do love black liquid liner on other people. I just found that on myself, it just looks very harsh. And again, as we get older, the brown looks a little bit nicer than the black. Just my opinion. On me anyway. Alright, so that's done. Now we're going to start on the part of the makeup that I do not like, and that's the eyebrows. So in case you were wondering, I'm 45. I turned 45 in December. And so that means that I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, and the trend was the thin eyebrows. So we all tweezed the heck out of our eyebrows, and then most of it did not grow back. So now we just have to deal with it. I did try the microblading, but because I had oily skin, that doesn't always work. The oil basically just pushes the ink right out of your skin. It didn't last, so I didn't even go back the second time. So I'm like, why am I going to go through this and then not wash it for 6 weeks or whatever it is for it not to work? So it was my choice to try it. She warned me. She told me if the oily skin, it probably won't work. So I did find a couple of things that I do like. Again, everyone does their eyebrows differently. Do what works for you. And this is what I've been liking at the moment. So I like to start with a clear eyebrow gel. And this eyebrow pen, this Build-A-Brow from Maybelline, just happens to have the clear gel at the end. So I love that when your product has more than one thing. So I take that out. Okay, sometimes it's too much. Ooh, a little piece of lint on there. Okay. And then what I do is, you want to go in the opposite direction. You really want to get that gel right at the roots of the hair and go in the opposite direction, just like that. Okay. Get it in there. And then once you get it in there, you can kind of brush. So in the front, you want the hair to go straight up. Okay. And then once you get to like the center and the end, you kind of want it to curve a little bit. I clearly need to do some work on these eyebrows, but I'm not in the mood to do that today. So we're just going to work with what we have. I might go back and get rid of this guy right here. Right, perfect. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You can already see without even adding any color that eyebrow already looks better. So I'm going to dip and I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to get that gel right in the roots. Right there. Really get that in there. Okay. And then once I do that, at the front, I'm going to brush them up like this. And then once we get to the middle, you can kind of make it go a little sideways. Back and fix that one the way I like it. Perfect. That one little hair is aggravating me though, so I'm going to grab my tweezers. See if I can do this looking in the phone. We're gonna get rid of you. There's another guy right there. Perfect. And these are my favorite tweezers. I've had these forever. I've had these so long, the name is gone. It's the Tweezerman tweezers, I believe. But I've had those forever. They're great. I love those. Okay. So now that's drying. So now what I'm going to do while that dries is I'm going to do my mascara. Okay. You want to let that gel dry for a little bit. So I like to use an eyelash curler. I know this looks very scary, but if you take your time with it and you practice, it does not hurt. I've never hurt myself with it. I'm going to do this as close as possible so you can see what it looks like. And I promise you it doesn't hurt if you take your time and do it right. It also matters which one you have. This one is actually this is from Revlon, okay? And so, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go as close as I can so you can see. And I'm just going to press it down at the base of the eyelashes. You just want to make sure you don't go too close to your eyelids so you don't pinch the skin, okay? And then I'm just going to press it a couple of times like this. And then I'm going to let go, okay? You can see the difference compared to this one. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Go nice and slow. I'm just going to pump it a couple of times and let go. It does make a huge difference and it helps your eyelashes stay up as well. All right. So today, I don't know if I feel like putting fake eyelashes on. I really don't. I'm not really a fan anymore. I used to wear eyelashes every day, but I don't really know if I want to do that anymore. So I think we're just going to use two different mascaras, and then if I want to add them later, I can. I don't need to decide that right now. So the two that I have just happen to be from L'Oreal. I do love the Maybelline Sky High mascara in the blackest color they have, but I ran out of that one. I haven't repurchased it. So for now, we're going to use these two from L'Oreal. So I'm going to start with the L'Oreal Paris Big Deal. I have this one in two colors. The black one is in my purse right now, but this one is a dark brown. So we're just going to start with this one because I'm going to use black over it anyway. Okay, and then I like to wiggle it. Again, everyone does this different. My eyes are so small, so I have to be very careful when I put mascara on. So I like to blink. I try to do like the little wiggling thing, but it doesn't work for me for some reason. So I just go really slow and I blink. Like that. Alright, so you can definitely see the difference just by one coat of this one. And again, this is the brown one, so if it was the black, it would be even more noticeable. But if you have blonde hair or lighter hair, the brown is really nice. Okay. Oh, and that's Ramsey making noise. Perfect. See what difference mascara makes? Woo! I love it. Alright. So now we're going to move on. So you can just do 2 or 3 coats of the same mascara, but I noticed that this one is more for lengthening and this Panorama one is more for thickening. So that's why I'm using 2 different ones. This is called the Panorama Voluminous, and then this is the color Blackest Black. Okay. I don't like that stuff at the end, so I just kind of swipe that off. Okay. The brush is a little bit different on this one as well. So now I'm going to go back. Okay. Do you see the difference? It looks a little bit thicker. I'll do the same thing on the other side. You don't want to wait too long in between, because once it dries, it will get clumpy. So you want to do the next coat while it's still a little bit wet. Okay. And then you can even do a 3rd coat if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that looks fine. And then once I have my wig and everything else on, then I can evaluate if I need to put my falsies on. Because again, I'm not really into them anymore. Okay. So now that we've done that, that's given this gel a chance to dry. So the next step from eyebrows, the way I do it, is I like to take a very thin eyebrow pencil. And I just happen to have these from Morphe. They're not really well known for their eyebrow stuff, but I got this in a kit once. And I liked it because I like the colors. I don't like my eyebrows to look too orangey or reddish brown. So I like the colors that this comes in, and I'll kind of show you on my hand. So this first color, maybe I'll do it on this side. This one that I'm going to show you is Chocolate Mousse. So that's what that color looks like. Okay. Ooh, there we go. So that's the Chocolate Mousse. And then this one is called Java. Alright, so let's see. So Chocolate Mousse right here, and then that's Java. They're very similar, but one's a little bit darker. So I think today I'm gonna use Java because she has the black hair, And this is a big misconception that a lot of people have about eyebrows, is your eyebrows do not need to be the same color or as dark as your hair. If you have black hair, you actually don't want black eyebrows. It looks very, very harsh. So you want them to be more of a dark brown, but not black. So even when you do have black hair, you still want your eyebrows to be a little bit lighter than your hair. Again, so it doesn't look so harsh. So we don't need to have black eyebrows because we have black hair. So let me show you the tip on this. It's very small. I think I might need to get like a little mirror, so bear with me. There we go. And a little mirror on my little blush here. Okay. And I'm just going to start right here. And I'm going to make a line that goes up to the middle. Again, I hate doing my eyebrows. They never come out right. Okay, so we're going to make a little line. I don't know if you can see that. And then that little space right there, I'm going to do some little flicks. I'm going to flick upward to kind of fill that in the best I can. You don't want to go too close to the front with this. You want the front to stay kind of natural, so don't go all the way to those front hairs. If you do, you can fix that, but you don't want that to be too dark. You want the front of your eyebrows to be lighter than the ends. So now you can start going a little bit heavier once you get to the center and the ends of the brow. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want that tail to go down, okay? Because that can also make your eye look droopy. So you want the tail of your brow to kind of be like stop right there or kind of go up a little bit. You just don't want it to go down like that, curve downward. So right about there. Okay. So you could see that made a difference just doing that, but we're not going to stop there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye real quick, which is hard because I have to cross my arm over. This one's always the hardest. And your eyebrows are never going to look the same. They're going to look similar, but don't expect your eyebrows to look the same. Good luck with that, because I've never been able to do it. Okay, so I got that little line like that. And now I'm just going to do some little flicking motions to kind of fill that in, but you don't want to fill it in all the way. You see how I left a little bit of space? Okay, you want it to look natural, so you don't want to fill it in completely. So that's why I'm not just doing this, I'm kind of just doing little flicking motions, like hair-like motions with it. And I'm going to show you why in a minute. And again, you don't want to go all the way to the end. Go close, but don't go all the way to the end with this pencil. Okay. Again, they don't look exactly the same, but they're close enough. So now that we're done with the pencil, this one's also nice because it has a little spoolie at the end. So I like to take the spoolie and very gently kind of just brush it through. Okay. Just very, very gently. Perfect. Okay. So my opinion, when you're buying one of these, try to look for one that has a spoolie at the end. It just makes life so much easier. And it does have covers, but I don't know where that went. Okay, so now that we have the pencil part, we're going to use these. These things are absolutely amazing. I love these things, just saying. And you'll see what they are. This is the this is actually the same thing we used for that gel in the beginning, that clear gel. It's attached. Now we're going to use the other end of this Build-A-Brow from Maybelline. Again, let me see if I could find the colors on this because it's just, they make it so small. So this is black brown. This one right here, black brown. And this one, same product, this is just a different color. And this is ash brown. Okay, I'm going to show you both of these before I use them. I used to shake these before I use them, but I learned if you do that, they're very messy. I keep everything laying flat in a drawer. I don't store it like this because everything goes to the end. So I just store everything flat and it's fine. Okay, so now this is going to be the black brown. Okay, back up a little bit. So that's what that color looks like. And then this one is a little bit lighter. That one is ash brown. Okay, so this is the black brown and this is the ash brown. You can see it's very similar to the pencil that I used. So I'm going to start with a darker color first, which is the black brown. And I'm going to look into my little mirror again, just because it makes it much easier for me. Okay, hopefully you'll be able to see. And I'm going to start right about here. And I'm going to start adding some hair. If you notice, I'm not going straight up with those hairs because you want to go in the same direction as your natural hair. So whatever direction your natural eyebrow hair grows in, you want to follow that same direction, okay? So I'm going to add these little hairs going in the same direction. Okay. And over here, you're going to go straight up, and if you notice, I'm resting my pinky on my face, and that's called a fulcrum. And what that does is it allows it so you don't put too much pressure on this. So you're kind of floating like that. And so it allows you not to put too much pressure. So you just want to flick it just a little bit like that. Okay. Perfect. So it looks like natural brow hair. I'm going to add a little bit more here to the end. And you do whatever makes you feel comfortable. So I kind of went over that area that I had the pencil. You see the difference so far? So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Again, try to always go in the direction of the hair growth. And do not press too hard. Perfect. All right. So now what I like to do, you don't have to do this next part, but in my opinion, when you use two colors, it looks better. So now that I've used the dark brown, I'm going to grab the same, what's this called again? Builder brow and the ash brown. And I'm just going to overlap some of those lines with the ash brown. And I just think it looks nicer. You don't have to do that though. That's just what I like to do. Especially towards the front of the eyebrow. So I'm not going towards the end with this lighter color. I'm keeping this lighter brown from the middle towards the front, especially right here. Okay, perfect. I went a little too low. We can fix that later. It's hard doing this other side. Okay, not bad. What do you think? So it looks like hair. So that's the eyebrows. And that dries pretty quickly, actually. So now that we're done with the eyebrows, we're going to move on to some blush. So I already used the cream blush underneath. And the reason I did that is because when you use a cream or liquid blush first, and then you put the powder blush on top, it just makes it last longer. That's one reason. And because the cream blush that I use is luminous, so it's a little shimmery, there's no sparkle or glitter in it, but it's a little bit luminous, it just kind of makes the face look fresher. I like it. Okay. So, I don't know. I'm going to be wearing red lipstick, so I want to stay away from something that's too pink. And I used to have one that was a little bit peachy, but I don't have that one anymore. So the closest thing, let's see what I have. I used to have the Luminoso from Milani. That was one of my favorites, but I don't have that anymore. I need to go purchase a new one. So I got this a long time ago in my Ipsy bag. It's really cute. It's from the Balm Company, and I don't even know what this is called. I think it's called Third Date. So it's more like a mauve color. It's not as dark, because again, I don't want anything too pink. So for today, we're just going to use that. But normally I would use more of like a peachy color when I like to do red lips. So I'm just going to put a little bit, and then again, always tap the excess on the top of your hand, and I'm starting right here. I'm not doing this. I'm not smiling. You can if you want to, but I like to keep my blush up higher, so it helps to lift the face, and I'm tapping. I'm not swiping, and I'm keeping the blush above my cheekbone. So if you go like this with your finger, you want to keep the blush right above there, okay? Also, if you noticed, I didn't put any bronzer on today. Normally I add a little bit of bronzer when I do my regular everyday makeup, but again, I'm trying to keep as pale as possible since I am going to be Snow White today, or else I would have added a little bit of bronzer. So I'm going to start right in the middle here above my cheekbone and go up to my temples again, and I'm just tapping. Okay, perfect. You can go as close to your eye too. That's a trend right now. I don't like my eye to be pink, but perfect. Okay, again, when you're wearing red lipstick, you don't really need tons of blush. And you can always, once you have the red lipstick on, you can go back and add more blush if you like, which I might do. We'll see. Okay, so that's that. And this is... Hi! My phone just fell. That was interesting. We are back. Okay, I think we're okay now. That was scary. I was about to show you. Well, this is what happens when you do unedited stuff and get to see all the bloopers too. So I have so many brushes from when I used to have Ipsy. So this is the blush brush that I use. Shanab Miami. I don't know. It's cute. It's got little flamingos on it. It's a nice fluffy brush, and I really like the size of it. I don't like a blush brush that's too big. So that's that. And I need to wash my brushes soon. I try to do that at least once a week. Or not anymore because I don't do my makeup as often, but when I was doing my makeup every day, I try to wash my brushes once a week. But now I'm lucky if I do makeup like this once a week at all. So every couple weeks to a month, I like to wash my brushes. And we can do like a video or talk about that as well. Very easy. Okay, so eyebrows are done. My eyes are done. Cheeks are done. Let's see. We're not going to contour the nose today. I guess we could do it really quick if we really wanted to. So the color that I used on my eyes, those first two colors, is very light, and it's like a skin color or close to my skin color. So if you really wanted to, you can use the eyeshadow that's like left over on your brush. And I like to start right here where my eyebrow is and kind of just go down right here. So you can kind of see. Everyone's nose is different. So I'm not adding any product. Go like this. Ta-da! Kind of go right up to my eyebrow. And it's very, very natural because you don't want those lines. You can, I don't like seeing those lines. That's just me. So whatever's left, I kind of just go back. And again, you can skip this step. Then I kind of just go like this, right there. Boop. And that's it. I don't even know if you noticed the difference, but very natural looking. Okay. So that's that. Then if you want, because again, we're going to be a princess today, you can add some highlight to your nose. This is the Essence Pure Nude. And this is the color Be My Sunlight, number 40. So what I like to do is I use my pinky for this. Okay, just a little bit. And I blow some of it off, and then I put it on the tip of my nose, but towards the top. Just like that. See how cute that looks? And then I'm not going to add any more. I'm just going to use whatever's left, and I'm going to start right here and go down the bridge of my nose, but we're not going to connect it. We're going to leave a space. So right about there. All right. You can kind of see that when I move around. That looks really, really cute. You can also add some over your blush, but again, I think it looks nice the way it is. So we're gonna leave that alone. I do like putting the highlight on the tip of the nose though. I think that looks really cute. I do that for my everyday makeup as well. So now for the fun part, red lipstick. So let's see what I do with my tissues. So I have that lip balm on from earlier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blot that lip balm off. And then I'd go like this. Perfect. There's different ways to do this. Red lipstick is, it's interesting. So I think I have two different lip liners here. I think we're gonna go with this one today. And this one is from Ulta. It's the Automatic Lip Liner Crayon in Ruby Red. This one's nice too. It's from NYX, but it's more of like a pinky red. It's called Hot Red. It's okay, but I don't really like it for what we're doing today. So again, I think I'm going to start with a little mirror. And when it comes to red, you really want to make sure that you don't overdraw your lips for red. You don't want to look like a clown. I'm sorry. I hope I don't offend anyone. I don't think you should overline too much with red lips. So you want to stay on your natural lip line. I'm not really crazy about this formula either, but this is what I have. Okay. And you don't need to go all the way to the edges. Okay, yeah, this this is the hard part. So then what you could do is you can fill it in with your lip liner, but I don't like to do that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go straight to my red lip. And I really like this shade, plus it doesn't cost a lot of money. It is from NYX. It is called the Suede Matte Lipstick. I like my red lipstick to be matte. I don't like it to be shiny. And then this is the color Spicy. And this is what it looks like. Okay. You see I've used it a bunch of times for Wonder Woman, Snow White. So I'm just going to kind of, instead of rubbing it, I'm going to start by tapping it. You want to make sure that you're getting the lipstick in your inner lip too, because when it wears off, it'll look really weird if you don't do that. Be very careful. It looks like such a mess when you're doing it. All right, so It's actually not this bright in person. It looks a lot nicer. So then what I like to do is that same tissue that I used to take off my lip balm, I'm going to do this. Okay, so some of that came off. Now I'm going to go back with the second layer. And I'm not rubbing, I'm just pressing. Just press, don't rub your lips together. Okay, so that looks good. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna reline them just to make everything look nice and neat. I'm gonna go back to my lip liner. And you wanna make sure you look from each side. Make sure it's even. This side of my mouth is definitely different. I don't like how this lip goes down, but there's nothing I can do about that. It's just how it is. Perfect. I don't like to leave too much red on the corners because then it will smudge and get everywhere. Perfect. Okay. So that looks okay, but another step that I like to do, and again, you don't have to do this, is I like to go over it one more time with a darker, let's see if I can find it, kind of like a plum or wine color. I think I have that in here somewhere. Perfect. Here we go. So I have this lip liner from Thrive Cosmetics in the color, I think it's Devon, I believe. And you can see it's like in a plum or burgundy color. And I like to just go over that line one more time with a darker color. I just like how that looks. Perfect. Mwah. Very nice. I'm happy with what that looks like. Okay, so now I'm just gonna look in my big mirror that's right behind me, see if there's anything I want to tweak or add. Perfect. So I like how everything came out. Once I have my my dress and my wig and everything else put together, then I could see if I need to add any more blush or touch anything up. So let's see. I'm a little bit closer. And you can see how it still looks like skin, but everything is just evened out. Go away a little bit. Make sure you don't have any lipstick on your teeth. Oh, some people, what they like to do, make sure your hands or your fingers are clean, obviously, and take your pointer finger, and you're supposed to do this. See how you got, it kind of prevents you from getting lipstick on your teeth, I guess. And then just don't forget to wipe it off. But let me go a little closer. Perfect. And that is how I do my Snow White makeup. And the Wonder Woman makeup is very similar, except sometimes what I'll do for Wonder Woman is I will do the black eyeliner instead of the brown eyeliner. And again, I decide if I want to add the lashes or not, but I kind of like how my lashes look right now. I'm pretty happy with them. But then once you put the wig on, for some reason, the lashes don't look as big anymore. It's crazy. So you kind of have to do that individually, and everyone's different. So thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, I made this as a video diary for myself, so I can remember what products I used. That way I can see if I liked them or didn't like them, and I can go back and reevaluate, try different things. But if I can teach someone stuff at the same time and entertain you, that works great too. Hopefully I can figure out how to upload this video, and I can put some links to the makeup I used. I'm going to link my Instagram in there as well. I'll try to take a picture and post that onto my Instagram so you can see what the full look with a wig and everything looks like. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And we forgot something. Hold on. Very important. Oh my goodness. The last step. Let's put this back here so it doesn't fall. Setting spray. So do you remember in the beginning when I sprayed the sponge? Well, we're going to use that same setting spray, or you can use a different one. And you're going to close your eyes, and you want to hold this nice and high. And you're just going to get that everywhere. Try not to talk while you do it, because then you'll taste it. It doesn't taste the greatest. Make sure you keep your eyes closed. And then if you have a fan, you can use that, or you can just fan yourself with your hand like I'm doing right now. And it just makes the makeup last longer. And if you accidentally put too much powder on, it'll kind of make that look go away as well. It won't look as powdery. All right, I'm gonna open my eyes, and I'll come a little bit closer again. I don't know if you could actually see the difference, but there you go. Have a wonderful Mother's Day, everyone. Thank you for watching. Bye.